Hey, I'm Adam Thompson. I'm a consultant in strategy and organisational design, and today I'm going to go through the real deal about innovation, what it is and what you need to keep an eye on. Let's get right into it. A lot of good things come out of Belgium. There's this.
Take my breath away. Boom, boom.
And this. And my go-to guy when it comes to this sort of work, which is Luc Hoebeke. His work is fantastic. You can find it in his book called Making Work Systems Better, which he has generously made available on the internet. Now, I'll quickly go through the way Luc sets up what he calls domains, because it makes sense of the whole innovation show. We've got this domain here, the added value domain, and this domain here, the innovation domain. And the point of the domain is each of them has what he calls a unique transformation process. The added value domain converts needs of actual people or groups of people into things. Things are products, services, and methods. It's the world of work as you know it. Everything that you've got, everything that you use, everything that you see comes from the added value domain. Now, the basic transformation process of the innovation domain, this is where it gets a bit fun, is it converts changes in values into potential new things. And these two things need to connect there. And that's what we have when we have an innovation that works, is one that becomes embedded in the added value domain. In other words, let's not confuse inventions with innovations. The light bulb is a brilliant invention. It is not an innovation until it is in the added value domain. It is now in the world of things. It's available. When we're talking the added value domain, we are talking about customers. In the innovation domain, there are people that we don't know are customers yet. So we're talking about stakeholders. Here we are talking about augmenting or adjusting or changing or improving. Here we are talking about a discontinuity, something that's going to stop. It's going to be something new. Or we're talking about the bifurcation point. Things will never be the same again. And finally, we can look at this as creating brand new networks that didn't otherwise exist. Whereas here is making networks better, including, adjusting, bringing people out. So you can see that the overall vibe of the innovation domain is we are talking about a significant change.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
This doesn't mean that all the valuable work you've been doing to try to add more value in the added value domain is irrelevant. In fact, it becomes more relevant because a completely valid approach is to make sure that as new things come through from this domain, if it's appropriate for your organization to be doing it, then you can quickly go ahead and do it. However, if we are talking about innovations, it's useful to know what we're looking for, because the world of quantitative stuff, profit margin, ROI, all that sort of thing, that lives here. And yeah, it would be nice that these things, when they come to here, make that sort of stuff, but they are not the key thing to be looking for in the innovation domain. What Hoebeke gives us are these four ways that we can look at it. Desirability is as you would expect it to be. How much is it desired by the various people who will be impacted with the innovation that's coming through? So this is where things like potential numbers are useful, not as the answer, but as an input to desirability. Feasibility is a similar thing in the other direction. It's the job of any given system to protect itself from invaders. Think about bodies with viruses and the like coming in. It's also the job of a social system to protect itself against every maverick or crazy idea that's coming in.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body.
However, for that system to be viable, it also needs to make appropriate adjustments as the environment around it changes. It's in that debate that we can find the best way forward. So feasibility is about the amount of negative force being applied to the potential innovation, not something to be stamped out, but something to be observed and put in as part of the process. Desirability and feasibility, they essentially lay the foundation for these other two aspects here. Now we get into the weird words. Transferability means the ability of the innovation to actually get into the stuff that's here in the added value domain. Is it possible to actually get these ideas in and spread out through the system? And systemicity, the weirdest word of the lot, is the consideration of how does this innovation both integrate with the other systems it'll be involved with, and what's the wider impact will have if it is plonked into the middle. Simple example is electric cars require the system around it to actually have charging stations. So what do we do with all this sort of stuff? Key number one, if you are in a situation where innovation is part of your deal, you need to know what the added value domain is all about. You can't do this stuff and this stuff if you've got no idea about how things are actually working at the moment. So you don't get to put on your colourful hat and your sparkly outfit and ignore the fact that there is work currently happening. It's necessary because half of the deal is being able to get things in. Then what we need to do is make sure we are actually structuring for this tension we spoke about here. You've got people that are currently doing the work in the added value domain. Make sure they are part of the project team that's studying the potential innovation. And the idea isn't to trick them into buying in. The idea is to welcome their angles into it, because it is in the dialogue, it is in the ability for people to be adults, that the feasibility of a potential innovation is actually determined, and whether it'll help the whole system. So you can actually structure for these factors here, which of course also helps in making sure that these two factors here make sense. And fundamentally, if you're looking at innovation, your job is to be watching these four things all the time. get your quantitative data, get your information. You're going to need all that sort of stuff because that's going to be informative about this. But your real job is to be out there in conversation, in dialogue with all the various stakeholders of the system, because innovation does well make sure that this added value domain, the world of things, is serving all of us a lot better. That's all for now. If you've got any questions about this, just get in touch with me through the usual socials, or you can sign up to my blog, zenorganisations.com. That'll give you the article that goes along with this, as well as this video, to your inbox every week. I'll see you next time.